What if the one person everyone thought was gone still had a place in the Heartland story? One quiet moment, one familiar feeling, and suddenly, everything changes. For nearly 2 decades, Heartland has been more than just a TV show. It has felt like a second home, a place where time moves slower, where family matters more than anything else, and where healing is never rushed. Season after season, viewers didn't just watch the characters grow, they grew with them. That is why Season 20 Episode 1 feels so important. It doesn't feel like just another season opening. It feels like a moment the story has been quietly building toward for years. From the very beginning, the heart of Heartland has always been connection. Connection between people, between humans and animals, and between the past and the future. No character represented that balance more than Ty. His presence shaped the ranch, the family, and most of all Amy. When he was gone, something changed not only in the story, but in the emotional tone of the show. There was still love, still strength, but also a silence that never fully disappeared. Now, as Season 20 begins, that silence feels different. The first episode doesn't rush into big events or loud drama. Instead, it slows down. It lets emotions breathe. It reminds us where we are and why this place still matters. The ranch looks familiar, yet changed. The family stands together, yet carries unseen weight. And through it all, there is a feeling, something unspoken, that the past is not as far away as it once seemed. This is where the idea of Ty is back begins to take shape. Not in a shocking way, not through sudden twists, but through memory, meaning, and emotional presence. Heartland has never been about forcing moments. It lets them arrive naturally, like a horse finding its way home. In Episode 1, that same quiet storytelling style returns, making every look, every pause, and every small moment feel important. Amy's journey stands at the center of this episode. She is stronger now, but strength does not mean forgetting. It means carrying love forward. As the season opens, you can feel that she is at a turning point. Not because something dramatic happens on screen, but because something shifts inside her. The past no longer feels like only pain. It starts to feel like guidance. Season 20 Episode 1 reminds us why Heartland has lasted so long. It doesn't chase trends. It stays true to its soul. And in doing so, it creates space for something powerful. The idea that even when someone is gone, their presence can still shape every step forward. This is not about bringing someone back in a simple way. It's about honoring what never truly left. Sometimes the strongest return is not seen, it is felt. Season 20 Episode 1 leans into this idea with a gentle confidence that feels deeply Heartland. Instead of loud surprises, the episode speaks through silence, through small details that carry heavy meaning. A pause that lasts a little longer, a look that says more than words ever could. This is where the emotion lives. From the very first scenes, there is a sense that the past is close. Not chasing the characters, not pulling them backward, but walking beside them. The ranch feels alive with memory. Every fence, every stable, every open field carries stories that were never erased. And in this season opener, those memories begin to surface in a new way. Not as pain, but as quiet strength. Amy's world has changed, yet her bond with the past remains part of who she is. In Episode 1, she doesn't speak much about what she has lost, but you can feel it in how she moves, how she listens, how she connects with the horses. The show allows the audience to sit with her emotions instead of explaining them. This is where the storytelling becomes powerful. It trusts the viewer to understand. The idea that Ty is back does not arrive as a moment, it unfolds as a feeling. It shows itself through memories that rise at unexpected times, through advice that still echoes in Amy's mind, through choices she makes that reflect lessons learned long ago. In Heartland, love never disappears. It changes shape. And Season 20 Episode 1 makes that message clearer than ever. What makes this episode feel so different is how natural everything feels. Nothing is forced. Nothing is rushed. The show understands that real healing happens slowly. It respects the audience enough to let emotion speak for itself. Instead of telling us what to feel, it creates space for us to feel it on our own. Family also plays a quiet but important role here. There is a shared understanding among them, a bond formed not just by words, but by shared history. They don't need to explain their feelings. They already know them. And in those moments, when they stand together, there is a sense that they are honoring everything that brought them here, including the people who helped shape their lives. Season 20, Episode 1 doesn't ask viewers to move on. It asks them to move forward, carrying love, memory, and meaning along the way. This is why the episode feels so personal. It mirrors real life. People leave, but what they give us stays. And sometimes that presence becomes even stronger with time. As this section of the story unfolds, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Heartland has not forgotten its past. It has learned how to walk with it, and in doing so, it delivers something rare, a return that doesn't need to be seen to be deeply felt. In Heartland, family is not defined only by who is present at the table. It is shaped by everyone who ever sat there. Season 20, Episode 1 brings this truth forward in a quiet, honest way that feels deeply real. There are no long speeches and no dramatic scenes meant to shock. Instead, the emotion lives in shared looks, small gestures, and moments where words are not needed. The Bartlett-Fleming family has faced change before, but this season opener shows how those changes have settled into them. They carry their past differently now, not as a burden, but as something that grounds them. You can see it in how they support one another without being asked, in how they listen more carefully, in how they stand together, even during ordinary moments. This is not a family trying to move on, it is a family learning how to live with everything they have been through. Amy stands at the center of this emotional circle, but she is never alone. Her strength does not come from pretending she is fine. It comes from knowing she doesn't have to face anything by herself. The people around her understand her loss without her needing to explain it. That silent understanding becomes one of the most powerful elements of the episode. The idea of reunion in this episode is not about someone walking through a door. It is about emotional closeness returning, about conversations that feel easier, about laughter that sounds more natural again. It's about the family finding moments of peace without guilt, realizing that joy does not mean forgetting. Heartland reminds us that love and grief can exist at the same time. There is also a strong sense of legacy woven into these scenes. The choices the family makes are clearly shaped by what they have learned from the past. Advice once given still guides them. Values passed down still matter. Even when someone is no longer there, their influence remains part of every decision. This is where the feeling of Ty's presence becomes strongest, not through memory alone, but through action. Season 20, Episode 1 shows that reunion does not always need a face. Sometimes it is found in unity, in shared purpose, in the way a family protects what matters most. These moments don't demand attention, yet they leave a lasting impact. They feel honest. They feel earned. By the time this part of the episode unfolds, it becomes clear that Heartland is telling a deeper story. One about how families survive loss by holding on to love. One about how presence can exist beyond absence. And one about how, even after everything changes, the bonds that truly matter never fade. Some episodes end when the screen fades to black. This one doesn't. Season 20, Episode 1 stays with you. Because it doesn't try to finish a story, it lets it live. Long after the episode is over, the emotions continue, quietly settling in. That is what makes this opening so powerful. It understands that the most meaningful moments are not always loud. They are the ones that feel personal. This episode is not built around shock or surprise. Instead, it is built around reflection. It asks the audience to slow down and feel what the characters feel. Every scene seems carefully placed, not to explain the past, but to show how it still shapes the present. The result is an episode that feels gentle, yet deeply strong. What truly sets the season opener apart is its honesty. It doesn't pretend that healing is simple or fast. It shows that moving forward often means carrying pieces of yesterday with you. Amy's journey reflects this truth clearly. She is not stuck, and she is not forgetting. She is learning how to live fully again while honoring what she has lost. That balance is rare, and Heartland handles it with care. The feeling that Ty is back reaches its strongest point here, not because he appears, but because his influence is undeniable. It lives in Amy's choices, in the family's values, and in the quiet confidence that guides them. His presence feels like a steady hand rather than a sudden return. And for longtime fans, that feels right. It feels respectful. This episode also reminds viewers why Heartland has lasted for so many years. It doesn't chase drama for attention. It trusts emotion. It trusts silence. It trusts its audience. Season 20, Episode 1 proves that the show still knows exactly what it is and what it wants to say. As the foundation for the rest of the season, this opening episode does something very important. It creates hope without erasing pain. It creates comfort without denying loss. It shows that love doesn't end, it changes form. And sometimes that change is what helps people move forward. By the final moments, there is a quiet sense of peace. Not because everything is fixed, but because everything feels honest. Heartland isn't promising easy answers this season. It's promising truth, growth, and emotional depth. And that promise is what makes this episode unforgettable. Season 20 doesn't begin with a goodbye or a dramatic return. It begins with understanding, with acceptance, and with the reminder that some bonds are strong enough to last forever even when they can't be seen. Season 20, Episode 1 does more than open a new chapter. It sets the emotional direction for everything that follows. By the time the episode ends, it becomes clear that this season is not about looking backward or trying to replace what was lost. It is about understanding how the past shapes the future, and that choice gives the story real depth. The show makes it clear that every step forward will be influenced by what came before. Amy's path is no longer driven by pain alone, but by purpose. She's not chasing answers, she is building something stronger from experience. That shift is small, but powerful. It tells the audience that growth doesn't erase memory. It transforms it. This season opening also prepares viewers for a more emotional, character-focused journey. Instead of rushing into big conflicts, the story takes time to reconnect with its roots. Horses are not just animals here, they are mirrors of emotion. The ranch is not just a setting, it is a place where healing continues. Every element feels intentional, reminding us why Heartland has always felt different from other shows. The feeling that Ty is still part of this world becomes a guiding force rather than a question. The episode doesn't ask, "Is he back?" It asks, "How does his legacy live on?" That question carries more meaning. It allows the story to honor him without breaking its own truth. And for longtime fans, that approach feels respectful and deeply human. Family plays a key role in shaping what comes next. There is a sense that they are ready for whatever lies ahead, not because they have all the answers, but because they trust each other. That trust becomes the foundation of the season. It's quiet, steady, and strong, just like the show itself. What makes this beginning special is how confident it feels. Heartland knows its audience. It knows its history, and it knows that real emotion doesn't need to be explained, it needs to be felt. Season 20, Episode 1 proves that the story still has something meaningful to say. As the journey continues, viewers are left with a calm but powerful feeling. The road ahead may not be easy, but it is honest. And sometimes that honesty is the most comforting thing of all. Heartland moves forward carrying love, memory, and hope every step of the way. There are some moments in a long-running series that quietly change everything. Season 20, Episode 1 is one of those moments. It doesn't rely on big twists or shocking reveals, yet it has sparked deep emotion and conversation among fans. The reason is simple, it touches something real. For many viewers, Heartland has been part of their lives for years. They've grown older with the characters, shared their struggles, and felt their losses. When a story lasts this long, it becomes personal. That is why this episode feels so meaningful. It doesn't treat the audience like strangers. It speaks to them like family. Fans are reacting not to what is shown, but to what is felt. The quiet strength of Amy, the steady support of the family, the way the story allows space for emotion without forcing it. These are the details viewers are holding on to. They recognize themselves in these moments and the way life continues even after change. The idea that Ty is still present has stirred powerful emotions. Not because people expect him to walk back into the story, but because they recognize the truth behind it. Everyone carries someone with them. Everyone has a voice from the past that still guides them. Heartland captures that feeling in a way that feels honest and respectful. This episode also reassures fans that the show understands what matters most. It hasn't forgotten its heart. It hasn't rushed to replace what was lost. Instead, it has chosen to honor it. That decision builds Trust, and trust is why audiences stay. What fans are responding to most is the care in the storytelling. Every scene feels intentional. Every emotion feels earned. There is no rush to move on, and no fear of looking back. That balance is rare, and it's why this season opening feels special. As conversations continue, one thing is clear. Season 20 Episode 1 has reconnected people to why they fell in love with Heartland in the first place. Not for drama, not for surprises, but for truth, warmth, and emotional honesty. This moment matters because it reminds us that some stories don't need to shout to be heard. They just need to be real. And Heartland, even after all these years, still knows how to do exactly that. Season 20 begins. Heartland doesn't try to convince anyone of who it is. It simply shows it. In its calm pacing, in its honest emotions, and in its respect for the journey so far, the show makes a quiet promise to the audience: the story still matters. This season opener is not about fixing the past or rewriting what has already been told. It is about carrying it forward with care. The love, the lessons, and even the pain are all part of the road ahead. And instead of closing the door on what was, Heartland leaves it open, allowing memory and hope to exist side by side. For longtime fans, this feels like reassurance. It says that the show hasn't forgotten what made it special. It understands why people stayed, why they cried, and why they still care. The emotional presence of Ty is handled with dignity, reminding us that some connections are too strong to disappear, even when life changes. What makes this final moment powerful is its simplicity. There is no dramatic goodbye, no loud promise of what's to come, just a feeling steady, warm, and real. A feeling that the story is in good hands, that the characters are moving forward together, and that the audience is still part of that journey. Season 20 doesn't ask viewers to let go. It asks them to stay, to keep believing in the quiet strength of family, love, and healing. And in doing so, Heartland proves once again that its greatest moments are not the ones that shock us, but the ones that stay with us long after the episode ends.